replica. Without saying a word, Noah releases a faint ripple of its power into the air. The effect is immediate, and a heavy pressure crashes down on the room, forcing several guests to shrink back in fear. The moment Noah pulls the energy back in, the room falls into a stunned silence once again, and no one questions it after that. It's clear the weapon is real, and even more shocking, Noah has complete control over it. For the rest of the night, nobles begin lining up one after another, each hoping to make a good impression. They greet him with careful words and respectful gestures, each one calling it an honor just to stand in his presence. Noah listens to every introduction with composed grace, replying politely to each guest. Eventually, the next pair in line steps forward, Byron Allen, head of the powerful Allen Company, and his daughter Cindy. Noah studies them closely as they approach, and after watching for just a moment, he picks up on something unusual. He realizes right away that Cindy isn't Byron's biological daughter. She's adopted. More than that, it becomes obvious to him that Cindy was once a slave. The clue lies in her eyes. That careful, guarded look, always scanning the room, quietly bracing herself. It's a look Noah knows well, the look of someone who's lived in chains and never stopped watching their backs. Byron is left speechless that Noah managed to figure all that out just by looking at her. Stunned, he drops to one knee and admits everything. He explains that Cindy was originally a slave he purchased, but after seeing how sharp and quick-witted she was, he made the choice to adopt her as his daughter. Hearing that puts a genuine smile on Noah's face. He always enjoyed stories where someone's life took a turn for the better. Moved, Noah invites both Byron and Cindy to visit his estate sometime soon, saying he'd love to hear more about Cindy's past in detail. Byron bows respectfully and agrees, saying it would be his honor. After exchanging farewells, the two politely excuse themselves from the party. The following day, Noah's strolling casually through town when he unexpectedly bumps into his brother Oscar, who also happens to be the kingdom's 8th prince. After a bit of light conversation, Oscar suggests they go on a treasure hunt together, saying he's got nothing else planned for the day. Noah agrees, and the two set off toward a place called Cobalt Street. Though Noah's never been there before, he's heard plenty about it. Supposedly, it's packed with rare antiques from all over the Empire. Oscar, however, points out that the place is just as infamous for being swarmed with fakes. Spotting a genuine item among the junk is seen as a basic test of skill for any proper noble. They end up spending hours browsing through shops and stands, but nothing really stands out. Eventually, Oscar sighs and suggests they give up and head home. Just then, Noah's eyes land on an old book tucked away in a dusty corner. Something about it pulls him in, so he decides to buy it. Oscar leans in for a closer look and suddenly freezes. His eyes widen as he realizes what Noah's holding: the grimoire of Andrea, the legendary mage. Oscar is convinced it's authentic, and if so, depending on the contents, the book could easily be worth 1,000 reen. He stares at Noah in disbelief and asks how he knew the book was the real deal. But truth be told, Noah had no clue. The only reason he bought it was because the second his fingers touched the cover, he got a plus added to his win stat, and that odd reaction was enough to make him think the book was worth something. Out of nowhere, a wild idea hits Noah, so he pulls out the Leviathan sword and carefully channels a bit of its energy straight into the grimoire. And within seconds, the book jolts violently, slips out of his hands, crashes to the ground, and flips open by itself. One of the spell pages glows ominously, and something dark and ancient is triggered. Before they know it, the forbidden tome unleashes the sealed soul of the legendary sorcerer right in front of them. Oscar's eyes go wide with horror. He instantly realizes how serious this is and yells for Noah to get the hell out of there. But instead of running, Noah plants his feet, lifts the Leviathan, and without flinching, slashes straight through the incoming spirit with a single brutal swing. The blow cleaves through the sorcerer's soul, erasing it completely in one strike. As the danger fades, Noah glances at his status window and sees something new. His win skill just jumped to SS rank. The sudden upgrade catches him off guard, but he doesn't sit on it. He quickly checks jumped as the danger swing. Leviathan yells for Noah to get the hell out of there. But instead of running, Noah plants his feet, lifts the Leviathan, and without flinching, slashes straight through the incoming spirit with a single brutal swing. The blow cleaves through the sorcerer's soul, erasing it completely in one strike. As the danger fades, Noah glances at his status window and sees something new. His win skill just jumped to SS rank. The sudden upgrade catches him off guard, but he doesn't sit on it. He quickly checks on Oscar, who's still frozen in disbelief. The prince can't wrap his head around what just happened. One moment they were standing in front of a book, and the next, Noah had wiped out a legendary soul like it was nothing. He keeps asking himself how Noah managed to grow this powerful so fast and how he knew exactly what to do. Before the dust even settles, a man steps forward and kneels respectfully before them. He introduces himself as Alan, the owner of a nearby antique shop. After witnessing what Noah just pulled off, Alan says he feels it's only right to show him something he's been holding on to for years, something he believes might actually be a real treasure, and he politely asks them to come with him. Once inside the shop, Alan pulls out an odd-looking ring and sets it down carefully. He explains that this ring is said to only reveal its true nature when its destined owner shows up. Dozens have tried to activate it, but not once has it responded. Noah raises an eyebrow, thinking it's probably just another dud, but Alan immediately insists otherwise. He says the ring refuses to be sold, and every time he tries to part with it, it mysteriously ends up back in his store, sitting quietly among the other items. Intrigued, Noah slips the ring onto his finger, and the moment he does, a voice he's never heard before echoes inside his mind. It tells him the ring is a triple S rank rarity, and that it now recognizes him as its rightful master. As soon as the words fade, the ring bursts into a radiant glow and begins shifting. Light wraps around Noah's body like living threads, forging itself into an elegant, high-tier suit of armor right before their eyes. Upon witnessing the moment, both Oscar and Alan instantly realize that Noah is the rightful bearer of the ring. Noah turns to Alan, stating that he'll be taking it and will have the money delivered later. But before Alan can even open his mouth, Oscar steps in and tells Noah to forget the payment altogether. He'll cover the cost himself and insists Noah treat it as a personal gift. With nothing more to say, Noah accepts the ring. Soon after, Oscar drops him off and says his goodbyes. But just as Noah is about to walk through the door, that same rough-looking guy from the diner suddenly comes charging at him with a sword. Before the blade even comes close, the ring picks up on the killer's intent and flares to life, unleashing a shield that blocks the strike completely. The carriage driver doesn't hesitate for a second and slams the attacker down, locking him to the ground. Oscar sees the whole thing unfold and is stunned, not just by the ring's quick reaction, but by how naturally Noah handled it. The way the shield activated without hesitation makes it clear Noah's already sensing with its power. That night, Noah heads back to the diner to watch Alice perform. As she's singing, two wasted men suddenly storm the stage, shoving and yelling over her. In a flash, Noah appears between them and steps in. With one swing of the Leviathan's sword, he sends both idiots flying through the doors, their pants halfway gone as they scramble off in shame. After things settle, Noah walks up to the owner and tells him not to let trash like that back inside. The owner just gives a tired sigh and says sadly that drunks like them are what keep the place alive. Noah gets it, and without a second thought offers to buy the whole diner for 1,000 reen. The owner freezes in disbelief and nods in gratitude, overwhelmed. Alice walks up soon after, her voice low and unsure, telling Noah she has no idea how to repay him for everything he's done, but he gently tells her she doesn't owe him a thing. All he wants is for her to keep singing, to chase her dream and pour her heart into it. Her eyes well up, and with a warm, heartfelt smile, she nods. Noah then heads back to his seat and spends the rest of the night in peace, soaking in the soft glow of her voice as it fills the room. As the day begins, Noah is suddenly told that dead Marley, the general of Holdjoy, has come to pay him a visit. Holdjoy happens to be one of the most promising regions under Noah's control, so he doesn't hesitate to accept the visit and instructs the maids to let him in. Marley enters and greets him formally in the meeting room, but Noah quickly waves off the stiff manners and tells him to sit down. The two first met about a year and a half ago, right after Marley took on the role of Holdjoy's general. That in mind, Noah jumps straight to the obvious and asks how things have been. He remembers Marley was handed an imperial directive to handle flood prevention in the area, but judging by the guy's face, it's pretty damn clear things aren't going well. Holdjoy is a rich agricultural zone that runs alongside a curving river, great for crops, but total pain when it floods, which it does from time to time. That's exactly why the Emperor ordered financial support for disaster prevention. But Marley admits he hasn't been able to get anything off the ground, and the biggest roadblock is the finance minister, who keeps coming up with lame excuses to delay releasing the funds. The second Noah hears that his mood darkens. It reeks of corruption and mishandling of public funds, and he's not about to let that slide. Without missing a beat, he tells Marley to tag along because they're going to have a little face-to-face with the minister himself. A short while later, Noah shows up for lunch with the finance minister, and the guy turns out to be every bit as bloated and slimy as Noah imagined. The man tries buttering him up with some empty compliments, but Noah shuts it down fast and asks why the hell he hasn't handed over the money Marley needs to fix Holdjoy's flooding issue. The minister stays calm and claims he's got a valid reason, but before he can even spit it out, Noah cuts him off and warns him not to think he can talk down to him just because he looks young. Last he checked, treating a royal with disrespect was still punishable by death. That gets the minister squirming a bit. So he hurries to explain that after last year's flood, the Emperor was kind enough to give Holdjoy a tax break, so he figured they could just use the money they saved to handle this year's flood situation. Noah stares at him like he's gone insane. That might just be the dumbest excuse he's heard in all 6 years of living in this world. He flat out asks the man if he thinks he's talking to an idiot. The tax exemption was clearly given because Hulljoy couldn't afford to pay anything in the first place, so to act like they've got extra funds lying around now is just a slap in the face to Noah's intelligence. The minister instantly realizes he's knee-deep in trouble, so he scrambles to come up with another excuse. Then he blurts out that the reason he can't release the flood funds is because he needs them for the Emperor. He clearly thinks dropping the Emperor's name will shut Noah up for good, and his excuse is that the Emperor is getting old and wants to build a royal villa for him to relax in. That's the final straw for Noah, so he stares the man down and tells him he's just committed a serious crime. Not only did he dare to call the Emperor an old man, but he also used the Emperor's name to justify embezzlement, and worst of all, his excuse boiled down to, "Sure, that territory's underwater, but we've got to build a fancy house." It's the dumbest thing Noah's ever heard. The minister instantly drops to his knees and starts begging for forgiveness, knowing full well he screwed up beyond saving. But Noah tells him flat out that if he doesn't want the Emperor to hear every word of this disaster, he'd better cough up the money. The man takes off in a panic, desperate to fix his mistake before it costs him his head. With that mess taken care of, Marley finally breathes a sigh of relief and thanks Noah for stepping in. He also apologizes for dragging him into the middle of such a headache, but admits there was no way he could have dealt with the finance minister on his own. As Noah gets ready to head back, a messenger suddenly rushes in with news. The Emperor has requested a meeting with him. Noah is startled because it's not often his father calls him out of the blue like this, so whatever it is, it must be serious. So without wasting a second, he makes his way to the Imperial Palace. Once he arrives, Noah greets his father, but the Emperor tells him there's no need for all the formality. First things first, he congratulates Noah on how well he handled the finance minister. Noah's a little stunned that the Emperor already knows about something that happened barely moments ago, but then he's reminded, knowledge is power, and when you're the Emperor, your information network is second to none. Noah humbly accepts the praise, but says he only did what he believed was right. Even so, the Emperor is clearly impressed. He tells Noah it's no small thing for a 6-year-old to see through deception so easily. And to top it off, he also heard about how Noah mastered the power of Leviathan in such a short time, which is especially impressive given how dangerously dark that sword's magic really is. Noah knows exactly how dangerous Leviathan really is because if he hadn't intervened back at the party, that sword would have wiped out every last person there without hesitation. But even with all that insane power, Noah still hasn't properly learned how to wield a blade. That's why the Emperor decided to assign him a personal instructor. Not just anyone either, this is Damian Noble, the Empire's undefeated champion and the greatest swordsman alive. The Emperor wants Noah to absorb everything he can from him, and Noah agrees to the arrangement. But before any formal training begins, Damian suggests they have a little friendly duel first. The Emperor raises an eyebrow, thinking that's a bit unfair since Noah's never been trained in sword combat, but Damian reassures him that it's just a light test to gauge Noah's raw potential. Eventually, the Emperor gives the go-ahead, so Damian lifts his sword and tells Noah to attack however he likes. Without hesitation, Noah grabs Leviathan and charges straight in. As the fight begins, Noah suddenly feels the instincts and battle experience of Leviathan's previous wielder flooding into him, and his swordsmanship gets sharper by the second. Blow after blow, he holds his own, and soon, he and Damian lock blades in a clash of raw force. Just when Damian thinks he's gained the upper hand, Noah flicks his sword upward with perfect precision, disarming the Empire's greatest warrior on the spot. Both Damian and the Emperor are left stunned, as Noah has already reached the level of a swordmaster, so there's simply nothing left for anyone to teach him. As Noah's Empire's gain the upper hand, Noah flicks his sword upward with perfect precision, just when Damian thinks he's owned, and soon he and Damian lock blades in a clash of raw force. Just when Damian thinks he's gained the upper hand, Noah flicks his sword upward with perfect precision, disarming the Empire's greatest warrior on the spot. Both Damian and the Emperor are left stunned, as Noah has already reached the level of a swordmaster, so there's simply nothing left for anyone to teach him. The Emperor is left speechless, watching his 6-year-old son take down a legend in real combat. Still, he can't help but feel a wave of pride. As a reward for such an insane achievement, he offers Noah the role of head judge for this year's Knight Selection exam, and Noah's genuinely honored to take on the responsibility. The Knight Selection is a massive annual tournament where warriors from across the world gather to prove their strength. Inside the Empire, military power is everything. The top fighters from regional qualifiers all meet in the capital for a final showdown, and whoever wins earns the title of Knight. Once they're officially knighted, their first mission is to serve directly under the head judge. And since Noah's power increases whenever he gains a skilled subordinate, he's more than eager to see how it all plays out. The tournament is usually structured as either a round robin or single elimination, but Noah's already got a different idea for how things should go this year. He asks the Emperor for permission to scrap the regional qualifiers altogether and host the entire tournament in the capital because he wants to witness every battle with his own eyes, and he refuses to let any promising candidates get tossed aside just because he's not there to stop it. The Emperor grants full permission, telling him to run it however he sees fit. And with that, Noah gets straight to work putting his new plan into action. Back at his place, Noah casually asks Zoe if her home village ever sends anyone to compete in the night selection exam. She says they do, but usually just one person, and that's only so the village can hope someone makes a name for them. Noah lets her know that he's decided to eliminate the regional preliminaries altogether, which means her village can send as many people as they like. Zoe's glad to hear it, but says there's still a huge problem. The reason they only send one candidate isn't just about odds, it's money. They simply can't afford the cost of travel and staying in the capital for the duration of the exam. The entire village has to scrape together every coin just to send that one person, so the idea of sending more just isn't realistic. But Noah doesn't like the idea of potential talent being wasted because of money, so he decides right then that he's going to personally cover travel and lodging for all candidates this year. It's a generous move, no doubt, but also an expensive one. Housing that many people in the capital would normally be insanely expensive, and there's no way they can just throw that kind of money around. But Noah already has a plan. He says he'll purchase all the vacant buildings in the area and use them to house the candidates. And if that still doesn't cut it, he'll build a hostel from scratch. That way, whatever they spend won't go to waste after the tournament's done. As for food, he plans to get in touch with all his merchant contacts and secure the best deal possible. Eventually, Noah brings Byron in and asks him for a cost estimate on the whole operation. But when Byron gives him a number, Noah immediately gets stunned because the price is way too low. There's no shot Byron would make any profit like that. But Byron brushes it off, saying it's fine, he just wants to support the prince. But Noah doesn't buy that shit because he knows damn well that merchants never give anything away unless there's something in it for them. So he calls Byron out and asks him to cut the act and just say what he wants in return. Byron is honestly impressed that a kid Noah's age understands how business really works. Since the mask is off now, he admits he was hoping Noah could pull a few strings during the next castle staff selection, just enough to get one of Byron's people hired. That way, if something important ever goes down within the castle walls, Byron would be among the first to know. Noah agrees to the deal, and to show he's serious, Byron swears full loyalty to Noah and Noah alone out of everyone in the royal family. Adding Byron as a subordinate gives Noah a solid stat boost. But just as he's checking his stat window, he notices something weird. His water magic stat just dropped by 1 rank. Most of that stat comes from the land he governs, which means something bad must just happen in Almeria. Noah then heads straight to his father to report that something's going on in Almeria. The emperor listens carefully and believes him, but still asks how Noah could possibly know such a thing. Noah obviously can't reveal the existence of his stat screen, so he keeps things vague and says he's just been picking up on signs for a while now. That answer seems to satisfy the emperor, who shifts gears and begins explaining the situation. Turns out there's a rebellion brewing in the region. He asks Noah if he'd like to personally handle the matter, but after thinking it through, Noah declines. Most nobles would jump at the chance to earn glory through battle, but he tells his father that Henry is the better choice, since he's got far more experience dealing with this kind of mess. Later that evening, Noah and Henry ride together in a carriage, and Henry asks if he's really okay giving up such an opportunity. In a country like theirs, Noah could have boosted his status big time by securing a major battlefield victory. But Noah tells him the truth. He doesn't believe he's strong enough yet to lead troops into combat, and even if he somehow survived, he'd likely lose good soldiers in the process, and that's not something he's willing to risk just to chase a title. All of a sudden, Leviathan sends a warning of hostile intent nearby, so Noah immediately tells the driver to stop the carriage. He's certain it's a group of rebels trying to assassinate him, and since he's the target, he leaps out and sprints away from Henry, putting as much distance between them as he can. Right after that, 4 massive jets of water erupt from the ground, aiming to converge on him, but Noah already has his shield up and blocks the attack without a scratch. The rebels then rush in to finish the job, but they're completely out of their depth. Noah takes them down one by one in mere seconds, his technique too polished, his speed too fast. Henry watches the whole thing unfold and is honestly stunned by how easily Noah handled them. The only downside is that they didn't manage to interrogate anyone. They could have gotten useful intel if they'd kept one alive. That's when Noah casually mentions they're not dead. He only knocked them out, so Henry is free to interrogate them to his heart's content. Not long after that, Noah learns that the rebel forces in Almeria are made up mostly of cavalry. But there's a catch. Almeria doesn't have a single horse farm, which means the rebels must be getting their horses and supplies from neighboring regions. And that little piece of intel, which most of them to, that's what it is that they use the whole thing by one, the rebel to converge on him as he can. Right after that, 4 massive jets of water erupt from the ground, aiming to converge on him, but Noah already has his shield up and blocks the attack without a scratch. The rebels then rush in to finish the job, but they're completely out of their depth. Noah takes them down one by one in mere seconds, his technique too polished, his speed too fast. Henry watches the whole thing unfold and is honestly stunned by how easily Noah handled them. The only downside is that they didn't manage to interrogate anyone. They could have gotten useful intel if they'd kept one alive. That's when Noah casually mentions they're not dead. He only knocked them out, so Henry is free to interrogate them to his heart's content. Not long after that, Noah learns that the rebel forces in Almeria are made up mostly of cavalry, But there's a catch. Almeria doesn't have a single horse farm, which means the rebels must be getting their horses and supplies from neighboring regions. And that little piece of intel sparks an idea. Noah summons Byron and gives him a very specific order. Buy out every last bit of horse feed from the territories surrounding Almeria. Once the rebels start running out of supplies for their mounts, their mobility vanishes, and that'll make it a hell of a lot easier for Henry to finish the job and crush the rebellion for good. Not long after, the Emperor summons Noah to give him an update. He says his men interrogated the assassins and actually managed to get something out of them. Apparently, their goal wasn't to kill Noah. They were trying to kidnap him and use him as leverage. But Noah isn't buying it. He flat out tells his father that any hitman who cracks this fast is probably just feeding them bullshit. The Emperor, amused and a little proud, notes how sharp Noah is for his age. Still, he reassures him that they've got ways of telling when someone's lying. Noah doesn't care to ask what kind of methods those are, but he's not exactly into torture, so he just lets it slide. Then the Emperor switches gears, giving Noah credit for acting fast and crushing the rebel threat before things got out of hand. He's especially impressed that Noah had the foresight to target the enemy's horses. That catches Noah off guard because he only told Alan to start buying horse feed a few minutes ago, and somehow his dad already knows about it. But the Emperor keeps going, saying that while starvation is a common strategy, one even the Crown Prince Albert wanted to use to humiliate the rebels, but Noah went a step further. Instead of just starving the men, he cut their power by focusing on their horses. And what's even better, he used his own allowance to fund the move. With a proud smile, the Emperor pats him on the shoulder, telling him he's not just smart. He's got the guts to act fast when it matters, and that kind of decisiveness isn't common. Noah feels a weird sense of pride bubbling up inside him, maybe a little too much pride, like he's enjoying this praise way more than he should, but the Emperor doesn't stop there. As a reward for his sharp thinking, he gives Noah the right to add a sword to his personal crest. That might not sound like much, but in a warrior kingdom like theirs, it's a huge deal. No one's allowed to touch the sword emblem without imperial approval, and doing it without permission could mean death. Even just getting a flag added to your crest is rare, so yeah, this is a massive honor, and Noah's trying hard not to smile like a kid who just got a whole candy store. Later that day, Alan drops by, so Noah walks over and greets Alan, teasing him for showing up early. Alan just nods, saying he's already familiar with every type of horse feed sold in the market, plus the transport routes, so cornering the supply won't be hard. Still, he's not too relaxed about it, so he warns Noah that Carfin, the rebel leader, is a dangerous bastard who will do anything to get what he wants. While Noah is minding his business, a maid rushes in to inform him that there's a wounded man outside their gate. Curious, he goes to check it out and finds a bloodied knight barely holding himself up. The man drops to one knee and reports that a rebellion has broken out in Almeria. He adds that his commanding officer is part of the uprising, but he refused to join and came here instead to warn the prince. Alan, standing nearby, scoffs and mutters that the guy nearly got himself killed for no reason because they already knew about the rebellion. But Noah doesn't brush the knight off. He thanks him for coming and instructs the maid to treat his wounds. Just as he's turning to leave, he stops, thinks for a second, and then tells her to reward the knight with 1,000 reen. Alan follows after him, clearly annoyed, asking why the hell he's throwing money away for intel they already had. Noah calmly replies that the reward isn't for the information, it's for loyalty and guts. Later, Zoe barges into Noah's office looking like she's seen a ghost, and she drops to her knees before even saying a word. Noah gets concerned and asks her what's going on, but she doesn't answer at first. She just pulls out a pouch with 500 reen and then hands him a small glass vial. She explains that some shady stranger offered her both as payment to drug Noah and hand him over. That's when it hits him. The rebels are getting real desperate if they're trying to snatch him like this. He stares at the bottle for a moment, then asks her why she brought it to him instead of going through with it. That's when she breaks down in tears. She says the men threatened to kill her if she failed, but no matter what, she could never bring herself to betray him. Without saying a word, Noah walks to his desk, grabs a pen, and writes her a check for 5,000 reen. He tells her it's for not selling her loyalty cheap. Zoe stares at the amount, her brain short-circuiting. She stammers that she can't accept something this big, but he just tells her to quit arguing and take the damn reward. As she keeps crying and thanking him, he quietly says there's something else she needs to do. He tells her he's going to drink the sleeping drug, and once he's out cold, she's going to deliver him to the bastards who made the offer. Then she's to run, as fast as she can, before they get the chance to shut her up for good. Zoe's whole body shakes just thinking about it, but Noah's not asking for permission. His decision is final, and he's going to meet the rebels face to face. A few hours later, he wakes up dumped in the middle of nowhere and catches the rebels whispering about how killing him is their last option, since they're under strict orders from Carfin to keep him alive. Noah lets the sedative wear off completely before evaluating the scene. His wrists and ankles are tightly bound, but these clowns clearly never played a real game of search and destroy because they missed the damn Leviathan hidden snug in his ear. He pulls it out, returns it to full size, and summons a water blade through his enchanted ring to slice the ropes clean. With that out of the way, he taps into the sword's memory to review what went down. He watches himself slump unconscious in his office while Zoe bolts out the door and the rebels swoop in around him. They didn't even bother chasing her, as their orders were extract Noah fast, then he was hauled into a wide-open carriage and driven off. Now, fully caught up, Noah shifts his focus to the rebels chilling around a campfire. Their leader starts yelling about whoever screwed up the rope job, right before Noah drops in with Leviathan ready. The bandits laugh, thinking he's just some pampered noble without his big brother this time. One charges in to smack him down and drag him back, but the fool doesn't even get a step in before Noah flashes forward and slices clean through every artery in his neck. The man drops dead on the spot, and now the rest start to panic. Noah mutters that he was hoping to interrogate someone, but it's useless when the whole squad's made up of morons who still think Henry took out the assassins. The rebels raise their weapons, but Noah quickly wipes them out without breaking a sweat. Then he notices Zoe approaching with a squad of knights and asks what the hell she's doing here. She says she got worried and came to rescue him, but turns out she didn't need to lift a finger. Noah motions for the knight captain to step forward and take the rebels into custody. As they start rounding them up, one of the rebels drops a strange dagger and a knight moves in to grab it, but Noah immediately yells at him to stop. Everyone freezes as Noah steps toward the blade, sensing a heavy wave of cursed energy radiating from it, something only he can pick up thanks to his link with Leviathan. He vaguely recalls overhearing the rebels mention a cursed dagger they were saving as a last resort. As he stands before it, he feels the deep malice of whoever laid the curse, and for just a second, he catches a glimpse of the bastard's face. Noah instantly realizes that the face he saw belongs to the leader of the rebels and decides to handle it himself. He speaks to Leviathan, asking if it can help him pull this off, since something like this should be ridiculously easy for a legendary water element sword. Leviathan answers by glowing, and Noah channels its cursed energy to fire a stream of corrupted water straight into the sky. The cursed torrent shoots far above the clouds and across half the empire, eventually reaching Karfun and striking him directly. The following morning, the Emperor summons Noah once more and kneels down at his height, patting his shoulders in praise for the unbelievable feat he just pulled off. Reports say the rebel leader was found dead. He catches a glimpse of the bastard's face. Noah instantly realizes that the face he saw belongs to the leader of the rebels and decides to handle it himself. He speaks to Leviathan, asking if it can help him pull this off, since something like this should be ridiculously easy for a legendary water element sword. Leviathan answers by glowing, and Noah channels its cursed energy to fire a stream of corrupted water straight into the sky. The cursed torrent shoots far above the clouds and across half the empire, eventually reaching Karfun and striking him directly. The following morning, the Emperor summons Noah once more and kneels down at his height, patting his shoulders in praise for the unbelievable feat he just pulled off. Reports say the rebel leader was found dead with a clean hole drilled straight through the center of his forehead, clearly made by a jet of water, and the Emperor knows there is no one else who could have done that except Noah. Noah confirms it, explaining that he used the hatred embedded in the cursed dagger to lock onto the rebel leader, then landed a no-scope headshot from hundreds of miles away. With their leader gone, crushing the remaining rebels becomes an easy job for Henry, and before long, everyone involved is captured. Later, a massive assembly is then called to decide their punishment, and the Emperor orders the culprits to be drawn and quartered. The crowd is pleased with the sentence, but Noah steps forward and respectfully kneels before the Emperor, telling him that he should not do that. The entire hall freezes at his words, especially the Emperor, who asks what he is talking about. Noah explains that punishment must follow the law, and there is no provision for quartering anyone. According to the law, the rebel leaders are to be split in half, while the rest are sent to forced labor camps, and Noah insists that this is how it should be handled. The Emperor asks how he could possibly refuse the most brutal death for those who dared rebel in his own territory. Noah calmly replies that if the Emperor breaks the law, it would damage his reputation and undermine the people's trust. Everyone is left speechless by that answer, but the Emperor ultimately agrees with Noah. He says they will follow the law, then adds that the criminals should still receive the harshest punishment the law allows without any compassion. Noah has no objections, so the Emperor turns to the Prime Minister and orders him to see that everything is carried out to the letter of the law. The entire court bursts into applause, showering Noah with praise for daring to correct the Emperor so boldly, and for doing it with logic and respect. So they start hailing him as a future legend. Even the Emperor can't hide how proud he is, clearly moved by the fact that Noah had the guts to stand up to him for the right reasons. After thinking it over for a moment, he decides to reward Noah with a title. He says that while any of his children might challenge him, it's rare to see someone do it not out of pride, but out of principle. That's why he grants Noah the title of the Wise Prince, and the change immediately updates in Noah's status window. The Emperor even jokes that if Noah had been born 10 years earlier, things might have turned out differently. He doesn't outright say Noah would have been a contender for the throne, but the implication hangs thick in the air. The court erupts into cheers after that comment, and the Emperor shifts the topic by asking Noah how preparations are going for the upcoming knight selection exam. Noah politely requests permission to explain his plans later, and the Emperor agrees to hear them after court is adjourned. Later, they head to the palace gardens near a fountain. Noah relaxes with a cup of tea while 4 servants surround him holding buckets of water. And at his signal, they all try to splash him at once, but he calmly activates the shield in his ring, stopping every drop from touching him. The Emperor raises an eyebrow, not fully gilded in his ring, buckets of water. And at his signal, they all try to splash him at once, but he calmly activates the shield in his ring, stopping every drop from touching him. The Emperor raises an eyebrow, not fully grasping what he just saw, so Noah explains during the selection exam, he's going to ask each participant to attack him the same way, and he'll judge their skills based on how close they get to hitting him. The Emperor is clearly impressed with the unorthodox approach, though he expresses concern that it could be dangerous. Noah, confident as ever, says he'll personally handle anyone strong enough to break through, and once again, the Emperor is blown away by his boldness and innovation. Later that night, the Emperor sits in the throne room alongside the Prime Minister, who questions whether it was wise to make that public remark about Noah being born too late. The Emperor simply laughs, saying he meant every word. Noah is something else entirely. Still, there's a flicker of unease in his eyes as he mentions Leviathan. Its true power is still sealed, and that's no small thing. He quietly gives an order to bring out a special treasure, murmuring that Leviathan's full strength is never meant to be unleashed, but maybe Noah is the one who can handle it. This was the end of episode 4. Subscribe to not miss the next episode.
Who's next, please? Oh, hello. Nice to meet you. My name's Jen. How are you? Oh, glad to hear it. Okay, well, you're here for your anime transformation, right? Yeah, so what we're going to do today is concentrate on your face and transforming you into that perfect anime girl, right? Okay. Yeah, so we're going to be choosing facial features and hair today. Another time we could maybe do clothes, you know, different outfits and settings for where you want your anime to be. Yeah, we can do plot lines, things like that. It's up to you if you want to return. Okay, so first I've just got to take some measurements, if that's alright. Just be using my tape measure, is that okay? Okay, so just measure forehead. And then I'm going to do your eyes, so okay. Let me do it with the centimeters. Okay. Then your nose, if that's alright. Just from the bridge to the tip. Okay, it's just so when you do enter the anime, we get the proportions right. You don't want to have like weird shaped features. Okay, so I'm gonna go ear to ear. Good. And then just relax your mouth for me. And then smile without showing your teeth. Okay, you can relax your face again. Gonna get each cheek. So this cheek. This. Okay. Then from your hairline to your chin. Okay. Then eyebrow to eyebrow. Good. 2, 4. Get this side. 13. 2. This side. 13. 1. Okay. Yes. What I want to do is show you different features, and all I need you to do is choose which one you like. if you do change your mind, after we've had our little session, just email me or give me a call and I can change them, okay? Yeah, that's not a problem. Alright, so we're going to start off with the face shape. So, although they do look quite similar, these are all different face shapes. So, yeah, this one is a little elongated with a pointed chin. This is typical of the very beautiful main character and the love interest. Yeah, the ratio from the ears to the chin is a bit longer. And we have this one, which is a little shorter. It's still got the pointed chin and the sharp jaw, so it can again be used for beautiful character. It all depends if you want him to go for anime beauty or the cute kind of best friend, main character. It's up to you. And again, we have an even shorter ratio here, but the chin is still slightly pointed, so it still looks like that. Then we have the rounder, softer features. So this jawline and chin aren't as sharp, they're more rounded. This one, even more rounded. Chin is almost nondescript, and from the hairline to the chin is a lot shorter than this one, for example. And finally, this one is quite a square jawline, so chin is almost flat, and the emphasis is on where the jaw joint is. All very popular, all very beautiful. Our most popular is this one, with the pointed chin, but not as long as the first one. Which one do you prefer? Okay. Perfect. Let's move on to eye shape. Now, depending on the type of anime you're wanting to go in, or the type of character that you're wanting to be, eye shape can be quite important. Let me change my hands here. Okay, so as you can see, there's bright open eyes like these, slightly slanted eyes, round eyes, more square ones. So let me talk you through them. So these eyes here, quite sharp, pointed, and with only half of the iris showing. These actually look more like villain eyes. That is an option. If you want to be a villain, you can be. These are slightly softer. Very beautiful eyes, these ones, yeah. Still with not all of the iris showing, so there's still that kind of air of mystery. Here we have very narrow, sharp eyes with very big pupils. You can see the difference. Darker, a little bit more mysterious. We have these open eyes, but still with the very large pupils. Eyelashes, we can do all sorts of eyelashes, so you're not limited to these. We can add these types to here, or these types to here. It's up to you. They're bright and open, but not too kind of old style manga. These ones are very much female protagonist. Big open eyes with a lot of white space, long defined eyelashes, and smaller ones on the bottom. These are a bit more square. Instead of eyelashes, the thick, bold outline just kind of suggests eyelashes. Yeah. And the iris here can be extremely pretty, all different colours. These ones, although big and open, are actually totally void of irises. So you can either choose to have this all black pupil with just a sparkle, or you can have this entire thing as a colour. It can be an ombre colour, it can be a flat colour, it's up to you. These eyes are a little bit more realistic with the shape and the amount of eyelashes. Almost all of the iris is visible, so they look bright and innocent, and we can play with colour a lot with these ones. Sharper ones, yet big eyelashes to open them up. Very beautiful long lashes. These ones can also be used for the villain, or just a kind of mischievous protagonist. It's got the long eyelashes and the coloured iris that we can add in. These are a little more square with the flatter tops. Small pupils and a lot of colour that's usually darker, and it fades to the lighter colour on the bottom of the iris. And finally, these big, beautiful eyes, more of an oval shape, with thick lashes, and one block colour for the iris. Can you see that? So which ones do you prefer? You could name a couple and we could join them together to kind of take features from different ones. Okay. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Alright. Now, moving on to eye colour. So this is my chart of all different eye colours that you can have. Can you see? Okay. So we have the grey, very subtle light grey, this brown, almost amber colour, a violet purple, brighter yellow colour here, this kind of deep fuchsia pink. Therefore male or female, it doesn't matter. Lovely rich green colour here. Colour that's kind of in between pink and red. This beautiful turquoise blue. More of a true red here. And then a dark blue. And we can mix and match the different colours however you like. If you wanted to go for two different colours. our most popular ones at the moment are these fuchsia ones because of a certain virtual idol at the moment, and also the two-tone with the yellow and the blue. Yep. Okay. Next is noses. Now, when you're watching anime, you're probably not thinking much about the noses because they're often quite subtle. But we still want you to be able to choose the nose. So these are our noses. Let me get a bit closer so you can see. So we have different ones, different shadows, ones that are just nostrils or even just a hint of a nostril, ones that are lines without any nostrils, shaded ones with the nostrils, or the ones emphasizing the button nose. Again, we can mix and match different parts of them if that's what you prefer. Okay. Yes, and if when you get your new anime face, if it's not looking quite right, if something isn't matching other features, you can always come back and change it free of charge, of course. Okay, the final feature we're looking at, mouths. So you can choose to have a very expressive mouth or more of a subtle mouth. We do the ones that are simply lines, or we do fuller lips as well, but I'm just going to show you the different expressions that you will be able to make. These are most of the expressions that our clients make. We don't tend to want them to be too sad, so we don't show many of the upset ones, because you get to choose the plot and how things progress. So we have the subtle smile, a wider, happy but still relaxed smile, slightly upset or kind of pouting mouth, shocked, shouting, perhaps angry, surprised, but not too surprised, just a little, oh, gritting the teeth, a little upset, a toothy grin. You can choose teeth as well, yes, so I know some people like the one little sharp tooth to show, or they want sharp teeth all along, or separated teeth. This is kind of a cheeky grin, like a cat grin. Another toothy grin, a bit more mischievous, this one though. This one can mean a couple of things. It can be on the verge of crying. It could be like a drunken face or a worried expression. This one is another shocked version, or more mortified with the straight shock. The cheeky tongue out, and then kind of flabbergasted. So I thought I would just show you all of the different ones that we provide, just to give you an idea. Okay, now moving on to hair. So I have these different hairstyles to show you. This won't be your face, don't worry. These are just to show the different hair So here we have the wavy hair with a little bit of a side fringe and the two bows, or they can be hair buns at either side like that. Here we have the middle parting with a smaller fringe just on the eyebrows, and the wavy long hair. Hair can be as long as you like, as short as you like. You can have no hair if that's what you prefer. This one is the straight hairstyle, the sweeping fringe, and then some face framing behind.